Right, so recording is started. You can write your roll number in the chat box. Right, so check whether the screen is visible. Hello. Is it visible?
No, sir.
Visible, sir.
Amit, check. You need to pin on my name so that my screen will be visible to you. Otherwise, what I'll do is I'll stop it once. Now everyone check whether it is visible. Danure. Danure ji, check once
Yes,
again.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Right. So this is what we were discussing in the last lecture. A profile, R profile, and M profile. These are the series of ARM processor family. Various use we have discussed in last lecture. And these are different architectural versions, or you can say evolution of ARM processor. How the architecture of this ARM went on changing is explained in this diagram. So we have version V4, V4T, or here you can find this V5 or V5E, version V6 and version V7. So what differences we can see in those versions is like we have different models, and what you can say with respect to this instruction set architecture, you will find that difference, right? So if I say this V4, right? So we will come to this later on, but before that, let us understand this. So these are the models that comes into this V4, V4T is ARM7 TDMI. So what do we mean by TDMI? Time division multiplexing, right? So the multiplexing used in that is basically making use of that. Here we have different models like ARM 926, 946, 966, right? Then we have ARM 1136, 1176, 1156T2. And in our architecture version V7, we have Cortex A8, Cortex R4, and Cortex M3. Right. So these are just an example of A series, R series, and M series. So from A series, architecture version V7, we can say that A8 is the model that belongs to architecture V7. R4 belongs to V7 and Cortex M3 belongs to V7. Right. So we have those three series, and these are the models that belongs to V7. Now let us understand the basic difference between these. Yesterday I told you there are two kinds of instruction set. One is ARM. When I say ARM instruction set, it's a 32-bit instruction set. And second one is thumb instruction set. When I say thumb instruction set, it's a 16-bit instruction set. Right. So these two are specifically mentioned here separately. And we have here V4. What do we mean by V4? V4 is the version. V4 is the ARM version. So if I talk about V4, only ARM instruction set is supported by V4. So if I ask you whether thumb instructions are supported in V4, your answer should be no, because these 16-bit instructions cannot be applicable for this V4. Only ARM instruction can be utilized with V4. Then next we have V4T. So here we have a provision to use ARM as well as thumb. Means what? ARM V4T version make use of 16-bit instruction, that is thumb instruction. Thumb instructions are introduced here in V4T, as well as ARM instructions are already there. So V4T can make use of 16-bit instructions as well as 32-bit instructions. Similarly, V5T, little enhancement in those 16-bit instructions. So what you can see here is, if this ramp, positive going ramp, you can observe the small increment you can see here. That simply indicates some 16-bit instructions are added into original thumb instructions, and that are supported with this V5. Similarly, ARM instructions, whatever are there in a previous version, some instructions are added into that, and that instructions are applicable for V5. So what is difference between V4T and V5T? Some instructions in 32-bit and some instructions in 16-bit are added. Otherwise, those two architectures, those two versions are same. Again, V5E, here majority of 32-bit instructions are added. We call them as enhanced DSP instructions. Those enhanced DSP instructions are added in ARM actual instruction set, right? And what about thumb? In thumb, no change. Means whatever was available in a previous version, those instructions are carried as it is. No additional instruction considered in V5E. Similarly, after that in V6, SIMD, V6 memory supported instructions are added in V6. What about thumb? Some instructions are added in 16-bit as well. Now here, if you talk about V7, we are talking about V7 Cortex M3 processor. Cortex M3 is a version 7 of ARM processor family. It belongs to microcontroller series, right? Cortex M3 belongs to microcontroller family, and it's a version 7. So here it supports all the it support a complete range of ARM instructions, which are 32-bit instructions, as well as it supports thumb instructions, which are 16-bit as well as 32-bit. See, when I say thumb 2, that simply means it includes 16-bit as well as 32-bit, right? So earlier, thumb instructions are of 16-bit only. When I say thumb 2, it means 16-bit as well as 32-bit instructions. So this Cortex M3 supports ARM and thumb 2. Cortex M3, that is version 7, supports ARM instruction set and thumb 2 instruction set, right? So this is what thumb technology I have discussed already. This thumb technology, that is outer circle, that encompass all the instructions that are used with Cortex M3, and which will also includes all the instructions of thumb instruction, 16-bit instruction. So thumb 2 is the superset of all those instructions. Almost every instruction is included in thumb 2 technology, which is combination of 32-bit instruction and 16-bit instruction, right? So this ARM V7 works by using this thumb 2 technology, that is 32 and 16-bit instructions. Coming to the point, Cortex M3 applications. Now, just before we proceed in detail with this Cortex M3 processor, let us understand the different application areas of this Cortex M3, and then we will move ahead with detailed architecture of Cortex M3. So this Cortex M3 processor is having application, or it find the applications in variety of domains. First one is low cost microcontrollers, right? So I told you it's a processor. Cortex M3 is a processor, but it is alternative for low cost microcontroller. Reason is some amount of RAM and ROM is provided with this Cortex M3 processor, and because of which you can easily replace the microcontroller in a cost effective manner. So that's why it is called as a low cost microcontroller. Cortex M3 is a processor, but it is called as a low cost microcontroller. I told you the reason. It's having RAM and ROM, so you can easily replace the microcontroller by this Cortex M3 processor. That's why you can say that it is low cost microcontroller. So this Cortex M3 processor is ideally suitable for low cost microcontrollers, as I said, which are commonly used in consumer products. From different appliance to appliance, you can see the use of this Cortex M3. It is highly competitive market due to many well-known 8-bit and 16-bit microcontroller products available in the market. जर तुम्ही 8051 ची कॉस्ट बघितली, of course it would be lesser than Cortex M3, right? But if you talk about the price of 32-bit microcontroller, of course the price of Cortex M3 is lesser than that 32-bit microcontroller. So this is very cost effective solution, and its cost, as I said, is lower than 32-bit microcontrollers. Also the power requirement is less, the performance is high, and use is very simple. It's very easy to use. That's why this 32-bit system and we can develop the products with ARM Cortex M3 architecture. So this is about low cost microcontroller. Second area of application is automotive. Right, so I told you this my Cortex M3 are widely used in automotive sector because it's having high performance efficiency. Then you can list, you can say low interrupt latency. Low interrupt latency means what? Once you apply the input, the output will be generated very quickly. That's why we can call low interrupt latency. So that will allow it to be used in a real-time application, right? So that's why it can be used in automotive sector. This Cortex M3 processor support up to 240 external vectored interrupt. How many interrupts are supported in Cortex M3? It's 240 vectored interrupt. So I guess if some important point I'm highlighting, you should be able to take a note of it. How many interrupts are supported in Cortex M3? 240 interrupts are supported in Cortex M3, which are vectored interrupt. So 240 vectored interrupts supported with built-in interrupt controller. So you have nested vectored interrupt controller, NVIC, right? So with built-in network, this interrupt controller with nested interrupt support. Next area of application is data communication. In data communication, this Cortex M3 is very ideal for many of the communication systems like Bluetooth and Zigbee. So use of Cortex M3 is very common in Bluetooth and Zigbee. The next area of application is industrial control. In industrial control, just because of its simplicity, then fast response and reliability, this Cortex M3 processor, this interrupt feature, low latency, and these other some aspects of memory. Because of these reasons, microcontroller, this Cortex M3 is preferred in industrial controls. because lot of interrupts are there, a lot of facilities are provided with Cortex M3. And last one is a consumer product, right? So Cortex M3 being a small processor is very efficient and a low input power that support MPU. What is MPU? MPU is memory protection unit. So these memory and small devices, small handheld devices, they make use of Cortex M3 processor. Right, so I guess all the application and domain why this Cortex M3 is popular in those domain, it is clear. So let's move ahead. I guess the part is over. Right. Next part of this is I have just separated this complete unit in different parts. So let's begin with the second part of this. Just forget about parts and all that. So here I'm going to talk about this Cortex M3 in detail. And page numbers, if you want to mention there, if you want to make a note of this, page number 11 to 18 data sheet, you have to refer for this. The contents I'm going to talk about: fundamentals, register banks, operation modes, then built-in nested vectored interrupt controller, as I said, NVIC. Then we have memory map. So let us talk about them one by one. So this one is the architecture of Cortex M3 processor. So many of the blocks are old, or you can say many of the blocks you have studied already. So can someone tell me what are the use of those blocks here in this architecture? See, this functional block diagram of Cortex M3 describes everything. Means what? If you can see this, it's having code memory, right? So all the programs, all the instructions can be stored here in this code memory, and they are taken into the ALU for execution afterwards. So bus is required for this, and this bus interconnect is required for that, and this one you can treat it as a instruction bus. So this through this bus interconnect and this instruction bus, ALU can take the instruction into the memory for execution. So this is when we have external memory. So sometimes the data is stored in an internal memory as well as to external memory. So this is memory interface which is internal. This is a memory interface which is external. This is a code memory. Similarly, you can interconnect a memory system and peripheral. Means what? You can externally connect RAM, ROM, SRAM, all those types of memories can be interfaced with the Cortex M3 processor. So whatever you are looking inside this rectangle is the part of Cortex M3, right? Then we have private peripherals such as mouse, keyboard. You can connect externally to this Cortex M3, right? So this is what I talked about, the external peripherals. Now let us understand what is inside this Cortex M3. Let me start with the interrupt. So what do you mean by interrupt? I told you the meaning of interrupt and all that. Just to recall, can someone respond? What is interrupt? What is an interrupt? See, interrupt means just a kind of obstacle, I told you, which is sometimes desirable, sometimes not desirable. Right, so that's why we cannot call them as obstacle or any other thing, but interrupt have a specific meaning. Suppose your processor or controller is executing some main program, and in between some important task is occurred, some important event is occurred which has to be served. For example, let's say the screen is displayed, the this no, I can give you the example like you are watching movie on your mobile phone, right? So your processor main program is to play the video and show it on the screen. But when you hit when you touch the screen somewhere, let's say if you want to lock or uh, if you want to pause the video, what you do is actually you touch the screen. So the external event is occurred, means what? Your processor have to stop the current execution and work accordingly as per as this interrupt are to be served, right? So when you hit a button on mobile, it stop current execution. Means what? Interrupt is occurred, now it started to serve the interrupt, right? So that is what the interrupt means. Interrupt means just a obstacle in a main program execution. Interrupt means obstacle in main program execution. So who handles this? Who decides what kind of interrupt it is? Who decides what address is to be loaded here, right? So what a vector address is to be loaded here? See, just to recall this, I would like to give you one very nice example about the interrupt, so that with the previous knowledge you can understand this thing. See, you have 5, 6 interrupt sources in 8051, right? So can someone tell me what are different interrupt sources in 8051? What are different interrupt sources in 8051? I guess 5 software interrupts are there. Is it correct? 5 interrupt sources are there in a microcontroller 8051. Yes. Huh. Which are those 5 interrupt sources? Can someone list out? Let me start writing here. External interrupt 0. Is it correct? External interrupt 0. Then next, timer interrupt 0. Then external interrupt 1. Then timer interrupt 1. And last interrupt, last software interrupt. झालंय ना हे सगळं? I'm asking about the interrupt sources. Hello, am I audible? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So these are the interrupts in 8051. There you can also find a serial interrupt. Right. So you have those 5 interrupt sources. म्हणजेच काय? सपोज मायक्रो कंट्रोलर 8051 एखादा टास्क कंप्लीट करत असेल, जर मध्येच एक्सटर्नल इव्हेंट आला किंवा टायमर इव्हेंट आला तर किंवा सिरियल डेटा आला तर तो मायक्रो कंट्रोलर काय करतो, त्याचं करंट एक्झिक्युशन स्टॉप करतो आणि मग कुठं जातो तो? Where it goes? It goes to, let's say, 0003. This is the vector address of external interrupt. So next one is 000. I guess this is B. Let me check. Vector address of 8051. Yeah, this is 003 00B. Okay. 23. Okay. So the vector addresses are 0003 H. Then this is 0000BH. This is the vector address of timer interrupt 0. Next is 0013H is the vector address. 00 let's say 1BH, and last is 0023H. Right? So these are all interrupts available in 8051. But now you may be aware why we are writing like org. We always write this org 0000, and after that somewhere we start in between, like we write like S jump next, right? And this next would be starting somewhere here. Right, and here you write actual program. Why this? Why we do this? And in between you start somewhere else, means org. Let's say most of the time you might have seen this location for th. बघा, ह्याचा अर्थ कोणाला सांगता येईल का? What do you mean by this org 0000H? त्यानंतर मी काय केलंय, जम्प नेक्स्ट, त्यानंतर नेक्स्ट लिहिलंय आणि तिथून पुढे मेन प्रोग्राम लिहायला सुरू केला. इथून पुढे आपला हा मेन प्रोग्राम असेल. So what do you mean by this? And why we have written this org 2 times? Can anyone tell? बघा, मी आता वरती इथं काय सांगितलेलं आहे, ह्या वेक्टर लोकेशन्स आहेत. म्हणजे जे एक्सटर्नल इंटरप्ट आहे तो 0003 ला इनिशियलाइज होतो. टायमर इंटरप्ट 0चं सबरुटीन 000B पासून असतं. एक्सटर्नल इंटरप्ट 1चं सबरुटीन 0013 पासून असतं. म्हणजेच काय, ज्यावेळी तुम्ही प्रोसेसर किंवा कंट्रोलर स्टार्ट करता, प्रोग्राम काउंटर जो आहे तो ओरिजिनेट होतो त्याच्या 00 लोकेशनला. This org 000H means what? What is the meaning of this? Your program counter is loaded with value 000. म्हणजेच काय, प्रोग्राम काउंटर आपली नेक्स्ट इन्स्ट्रक्शन जी एक्झिक्यूट होणार आहे त्याच्या लोकेशनला हा प्रोग्राम काउंटर नेहमी पॉइंट करत असतो. आणि ज्यावेळी तुम्ही ही इन्स्ट्रक्शन लिहिता त्यावेळी प्रोग्राम काउंटरमध्ये 0000H ही व्हॅल्यू लोड होते. म्हणजे प्रोग्राम काउंटर पहिल्या लोकेशन पासून एक्झिक्यूट करायला सुरू होईल. इमिजिएटली नेक्स्ट तुम्ही काय केलंय, स्क्रीन दिसते ना सर्वांना? Is the screen visible? Hello? 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 स्क्रीन दिसते का सर्वांना? येस, नो? हॅलो?
Yes, sir.
ओके, ठीक आहे. ज्यावेळी आपण ORG 0000H असं लिहितो त्यावेळी थोडक्यात काय करतो, प्रोग्राम काउंटरमध्ये 0000 असं लोड करतो. त्यानंतर प्रोग्राम एक्झिक्युशन या ठिकाणी शिफ्ट होत आहे. त्यानंतर तुम्ही काय केलंय, जम्प नेक्स्ट केलंय, ते कुठंतरी पुढं सुरू होईल, पण त्यापूर्वी ORGला 003H नी सुरुवात केली. म्हणजे प्रोग्राम काउंटरमध्ये परत तुम्ही काय केलं, PC इक्वल टू काय केलं, 0030. म्हणजेच काय केलं तुम्ही, पहिल्या 0000 पासून 0030 पर्यंत ज्या काही इन्स्ट्रक्शन्स आहेत किंवा इंटरप्ट सर्व्हिस सबरूटीन्स आहेत ते तुम्ही एक्झिक्यूट न करता पुढचा मेन प्रोग्राम जो तिथून पुढं म्हणजे 30 पासून पुढं जो प्रोग्राम आहे तो एक्झिक्यूट करायला गेला. असं का केलं आपण, तर आपल्याला माहित आहे मेन प्रोग्राम हा इंटरप्ट सबरूटीन सोबत ओव्हरलॅप होऊ नये. ह्या इंटरप्ट सबरूटीनच्या लोकेशन्स आहेत. जर एक्सटर्नल इंटरप्ट 0 आला तर ही व्हॅल्यू PC मध्ये लोड होणार आहे. टायमर 0 इंटरप्ट आला तर ही व्हॅल्यू प्रोग्राम काउंटर मध्ये म्हणजे PC मध्ये लोड होणार आहे. ठीक आहे, त्यामुळे आपल्याला ह्या सगळ्या व्हॅल्यू स्किप करायचे. ह्या सगळ्या व्हॅल्यू स्किप करून पुढची जी पॉसिबल व्हॅल्यू आहे ती लोड करायची. म्हणून मोस्टली यू हॅव सीन दिस ORG 0030H आणि त्यानंतर जो काही प्रोग्राम आहे तो आपण इथं मेन प्रोग्राम लिहू शकतो. I hope it is clear. So what is this? This is vector. This is vector address. म्हणजे हा इंटरप्ट आला की या वेक्टर ऍड्रेसला प्रोग्राम काउंटर पॉइंट करणार. हा इंटरप्ट आला की या वेक्टर ऍड्रेसला आपला प्रोग्राम काउंटर पॉइंट करणार. हे जे जसे 5 सॉफ्टवेअर इंटरप्ट आहेत तसाच एक हार्डवेअर इंटरप्ट आहे आणि त्या हार्डवेअर इंटरप्टला आपण म्हणतो रिसेट इंटरप्ट. हा रिसेट इंटरप्ट केव्हा ऑकर होतो, जर VCC पिन वरती इफ वी connect a switch on reset pin and if you press that button for more than 2 machine cycle your controller will get reset. आणि हा रिसेट होतो म्हणजे काय होतं, याच्या प्रोग्राम काउंटर मध्ये परत 0000H ही व्हॅल्यू लोड होते. That is what meaning of reset is. So total how many interrupts are there in 8051? 5 software interrupt, 1 hardware interrupt. Right, I guess it is clear what is interrupt, what is vector address. When the interrupt is occurred, the vector address is loaded in program counter, and after that whatever interrupt service subroutine is there, it will be executed. Right, so this is all about interrupt. So who handle this? Who give the control of all those information? Who decide what sort of interrupt is to be executed? What a priority is to be decided? This interrupt vector controller, interrupt controller you can say, right? So this interrupt controller, that is NVIC, you can also call it as a nested vectored interrupt controller. This will control all the activities. That means prioritization, the sequence in which the interrupt is to be served. Everything will be decided in this interrupt controller. Next, we have processor core. This processor core will consist of this NVIC as well as it's having instruction fetch unit, decoder unit, and ALU performs actual execution. I told you every instruction have to be passed through 3 different phases, and those 3 different phases are fetch cycle, decode cycle, and execute cycle. So fetching of instruction is done here in instruction fetch unit. Decoder will decode the instruction and ALU will perform actual operation on that instruction. And once the operation is performed, such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, all those instructions will result in some operand, right? So this temporary register bank is expected. Temporary register bank is required, right? temporary register bank is used to store the data, is used to store the result of ALU. So when ALU performs some processing, it would generate some operand. That result have to be stored on register bank. Also, before it performs operation, it require data to be stored on register bank. So the ALU takes the data from register bank and generate the result and store the result back on the register bank. Then we have this trace interface, right? So trace interface, memory, this debug subsystem, it is all about interpretation of instructions, right? So tracing of instruction, debugging, this is all required for interpreter, right? Now if you see this memory unit, memory protection unit, it is provided for memory which you are connecting from outside. For internal memory, there is no memory protection unit. Whatever we are providing from outside, that requires a memory protection unit. So right, so memory protection unit is just to save the contents, save the data which is present on external memory, right? So it is interconnected with this instruction bus and data bus. This is debug interface. I told you the use of debug. Debug unit is required to generate the error, and it simply gives the feedback to editor, right? So just by using this facility, you can observe the working of that microprocessor, that is Cortex M3, and you can change your code later on. Some private peripherals, you can interface, as I said, mouse, keyboard, everything, right? So this is overview of the block diagram of Cortex M3. This is block diagram of Cortex M3. Keep it in mind, practice this diagram. It is very important to remember all the blocks which are involved in Cortex M3. Right, so with this, let's move ahead a little more detail. I'm going to talk about registers today. So I'm going to talk. See, this overview of architecture I have just now given. Now here onwards, whatever we are going to study in this third unit is a part of this block diagram. Right, so in remaining time we will see a register bank. Maybe in the next lecture we will discuss memory protection or memory map, right? So one by one we will keep on discussing all the blocks involved in this Cortex M3 processor. So I just have given a brief idea. Next lecture onwards, throughout this third unit, we will be discussing about this block diagram only. Right, so this is the register bank. These are the different registers that we have with the Cortex M3. So there are some general purpose registers which are from R0 to R12. This R0 to R12 are the general purpose registers. In short, we can call it as a GPR. Right, so R0 to R12, these 32, they are 32-bit registers, and we can make use of these register for storage of data. For example, suppose I want to add two 32-bit numbers. So for that I have to make use of those two registers to hold the operand. पहिला 32-bit नंबर एका रजिस्टर मध्ये ठेवायचा, दुसरा 32-bit नंबर दुसऱ्या रजिस्टर मध्ये ठेवायचा, त्या दोघांची ऍडिशन करायची. ALU will do that addition, and result of that 32-bit addition is going to be stored in let's say third register. त्याचा रिझल्ट जो आहे तो तिसऱ्या कुठल्या तरी रजिस्टर वरती ठेवायचा. So this temporary operation requires some temporary registers, and this is the register bank, register file. You can say you are having total how many registers are there? R0 to R15 means total 16 registers are there which are temporary, or you can say scratch pad registers. but they are having some specific use at this R13, R14, R15, etc. Right? So I just have given you the brief idea about R0 to R12. These are general purpose register. But in between that, R0 to R7 are also called as low register group. R0 to R7 is also called as a low register group. And this R8 to R12, these are called as a high register group. Right? So these are general purpose registers. So for data operations, you can make use of registers R0 to R7. R0 to R7 and R8 to R12. Rest of the registers you cannot use for general purpose operations. That may include R13, R14 and R15. Right? So these general purpose register, that is R0 to R12, they are 32-bit general purpose registers for data operations. Some of 16-bit thumb instructions can also access these. Some of the 16-bit instruction can also access these registers R0 to R12. Then next and very important register is stack pointer. What do you mean by stack pointer? So this stack pointer is very crucial. It plays a very crucial role in push and pop operation. During push, the content is stored on stack and the content of stack pointer is incremented by 1. During pop, the content of stack pointer is stored on a stack and stack pointer is decremented by 1. So who decides this increment, decrement, and storing of data? Stack pointer. Means what? Stack pointer knows the return address. For example, suppose the program main program is being executed and interrupt is occurred. So stack pointer will hold the return address. Stack pointer will push the data on a stack memory, right? So different significance that we have with the stack pointer. For this Cortex M3, let me tell, the Cortex M3 contains 2 different stack pointers. You can observe it here. R13 is also called as MSP and PSP. Right? So this main stack pointer and process stack pointer. Your stack pointer, that is R13, is divided into two parts, MSP and PSP. MSP stands for main stack pointer. PSP stands for process stack pointer. Now, as I said, Cortex M3 contains 2 stack pointers. This R13 will have 2 stack pointers. They are banked so that only one is visible at a time. म्हणजे ह्या दोघांपैकी एकच विजिबल असणार आहे. एक तर तुम्हाला MSP विजिबल असेल किंवा PSP विजिबल असेल. दोघही सायमल्टेनियसली विजिबल असणार नाहीत. Right? So only one is visible at a time. The 2 stack pointers are like MSP for main stack pointer. Right? MSP for main stack pointer. So this default it is a default stack pointer. म्हणजे तुम्ही ज्यावेळी पॉवर अप कराल त्यावेळी हा मेन स्टॅक पॉइंटर रनिंग मध्ये असणार आहे. ठीक आहे. That's why it is called as a default stack pointer. And it is used by operating system or kernel or expectation handlers. It is used by different operating systems, kernels, and expectation handlers. I'll tell you the significance of this later on. But before that, let us understand PSP. Right. So PSP means it is used by user application code. So user, if he or she want to use PSP, then only you can use PSP. Otherwise, your MSP will be in a working state. MSP will be in a default state. right? So default stack pointer is main stack pointer. If your user thread want to access, then it will be switched to PSP, right? So these are all types of stack pointer, MSP and PSP. Next one is link register. Now here this link register, its number is 14. R14 is your link register. It is abbreviated as LR. Link register hold the return address. What is the use of link register? It holds the return address. So from interrupt where to return, if this is the question, you will find the return address in link register. Right? So link register will hold the return address. Next, register R15, it is a program counter. I told you program counter is a current program status, current program address, and it holds it a point to the instruction which is going to be executed next. So this register can be written to control the program flow. जर तुम्हाला प्रोग्राम सिक्वेन्स चेंज करायचा असेल, मेन प्रोग्राम एक्झिक्युशन स्टॉप करून दुसराच एखादा इंटरप्ट एक्झिक्यूट करायचा असेल, तर त्या इंटरप्टचा ऍड्रेस तुम्ही प्रोग्राम काउंटर मध्ये टाकला की तिथून पुढच्या इन्स्ट्रक्शन्स एक्झिक्यूट व्हायला चालू होणार. सो दिस रजिस्टर इज टू बी रिटन इन ऑर्डर टू चेंज द कंट्रोल ऑफ program, change the program flow, right? So this is what use of program counter is. Then we have some special function registers, also called as a special registers. So these special registers, we will have like a program status register, that is XPSR, right? XPSR. Then we have interrupt mask registers, right? So different functions associated, I'm telling you first. Program status register is XPSR. Then we have interrupt mask register. And last one is control register. So these are the three categories in a special register. स्पेशल फंक्शन रजिस्टर मध्ये 3 प्रकार आहेत. In that, first one is program status register, which is only designated by XPSR. Then we have interrupt mask registers. There are 3 interrupt mask registers: prime mask, fault mask, and base pry. And last one is control register. So what is interrupt masking? What is interrupt masking? Can anyone tell what is interrupt masking? आज कोणीच बोलायचं नाही ठरवलं काय? का झोपलेत सगळे? थोडं सगळ्यांनी अनम्यूट करा बरं स्वतःला. Unmute yourself, everyone. Otherwise, I will remove you. I will mark your absentee. Everyone, unmute yourself. ठीक आहे, बऱ्यापैकी लोक झोपलेले आहेत असं वाटतं. Now you can mute yourself. Mute yourself, everyone. See, I was trying to tell you about interrupt masking. I told you what is interrupt. Now let us discuss about interrupt masking. आता सपोज मी बऱ्याचदा तुम्हाला एक एक्झाम्पल सांगतो की समजा मी तुमच्याशी बोलत आहे, तुम्हाला शिकवत आहे. तर मी काय करतोय, माझा मेन प्रोग्राम एक्झिक्यूट करतोय. मध्येच जर काही समजा माझा फोन वाजला, दॅट वुड बी अ इंटरप्ट, बरोबर आहे ना? पण तो जर एखाद्या एचआरचा किंवा एखाद्या इम्पॉर्टंट व्यक्तीचा कॉल असेल तर आय हॅव टू अटेंड दॅट कॉल. म्हणजेच काय, तो जो इंटरप्ट आहे तो डिझायरेबल आहे, बरोबर आहे ना? तो डिझायरेबल इंटरप्ट आहे पहिली गोष्ट, आणि तो सर्व्ह पण करावा लागणार आहे हायेस्ट प्रायोरिटीने. एखादा एचआरचा कॉल इन बिटवीन आला तर मला तो घ्यावा पण लागणार आहे करंट प्रोग्राम एक्झिक्युशन स्टॉप करून. ठीक आहे. म्हणजे मी ह्या इंटरप्ट चा रेफरन्स देऊन तुम्हाला ते सांगितलं की काय इंटरप्ट आहे. पण इंटरप्ट मास्किंग म्हणजे काय असतं, की एखादा इंटरप्ट येणार आहे माहित आहे, किंवा एखादा इंटरप्ट आला तर तो जर लोवेस्ट प्रायोरिटीवरती असेल, किंवा लेट्स से मेन प्रोग्राम एक्झिक्यूट करणं महत्वाचं असेल त्या मुव्हमेंटला. म्हणजेच काय, फॉर एक्झाम्पल मी तुम्हाला शिकवतोय म्हणजे मेन प्रोग्राम, मध्येच कॉल आला, पण ह्यावेळी तो कॉल एचआरचा नाही आहे, काहीतरी लेट्स से लिस्ट इम्पॉर्टंट पर्सनचा तो कॉल असेल. तर मला काय महत्वाचं, काय एक्झिक्यूट केलं पाहिजे, जे करंट एक्झिक्युशन आहे, जे मेन प्रोग्राम एक्झिक्युशन आहे ते चालू ठेवलं पाहिजे, बरोबर आहे ना? मग त्यासाठी मला काय करावं लागणार आहे, मी मोबाईलचा रिंगर ऑफ करेन, किंवा ते जो मोबाईल माझा सायलेंट मोडमध्ये टाकता येतो का बघितलं पाहिजे. ठीक आहे. एखादा कॉल आला जो तेवढा इम्पॉर्टंट नसेल तर मी त्याला काय करेन, त्याला सायलेंट करेन, त्या कॉलला सायलेंट करेन. म्हणजेच काय, आय एम गोइंग टू मास्क दॅट इंटरप्ट. मास्क म्हणजे काय, त्याच्या चेहऱ्यावरती पडदा टाकणे, त्याला डिसेबल करणे. मास्क करणे म्हणजे त्याला डिसेबल करणे, त्या इंटरप्टला डिसेबल करणे. आय गेस द आयडिया इज क्लिअर. इंटरप्ट मास्किंग म्हणजे काय, तर त्या इंटरप्टला तुम्ही डिसेबल करायचं. इज इट क्लिअर? So sometimes we need to mask the interrupt. Many of the times we need to mask the interrupt, and for that we have different these things, interrupt masking register. And in that मी तुम्हाला सांगितलं की 3 इंटरप्ट मास्क रजिस्टर्स आहेत, ज्याच्यामध्ये प्राय मास्क असेल, फॉल्ट मास्क असेल आणि बेस प्राय असेल. सो ते जे स्पेशल रजिस्टर्स आहेत, स्पेशल फंक्शन रजिस्टर्स आहेत, those special function registers we will discuss in the next lecture, right? So if you have any doubt you can ask. Otherwise, if you don't have any doubt, you are allowed to leave the class.